Have you ever found yourself lost in thought, wondering why certain people seem to be drawn to the most intriguing and unconventional hobbies? If you're familiar with personality types, particularly the enigmatic INFJ, you might have noticed their tendency to pursue interests that others find fascinating, if not slightly peculiar. Today, we're going to embark on a journey into the captivating world of INFJ personalities and explore 13 of their most unusual hobbies that perfectly reflect their complex, introspective nature. Before we dive deep into these unique pastimes, it's essential to understand what makes INFJs so special in the first place. As the rarest personality type in the Myers-Briggs spectrum, making up less than 2% of the global population, INFJ possess a unique combination of traits that set them apart from the crowd. They're known for their deep intuition, profound emotional intelligence, and an almost mysterious ability to understand the hidden layers of human nature. This rare combination of characteristics often leads them to pursue hobbies that might seem strange to others, but make perfect sense to their rich inner world. One of the most fascinating hobbies that INFJ often find themselves drawn to is the art of creating miniature philosophical worlds. This isn't your typical dollhouse hobby, it's a profound expression of their inner landscape translated into physical form. INFJ spend countless hours crafting tiny, intricate environments that serve as physical metaphors for complex philosophical concepts. They might create a miniature library where each tiny book represents a different life lesson they've learned, or design a small meditation garden that symbolizes their journey of self-discovery. These miniature worlds often include incredibly detailed elements like tiny journals with actual writing, microscopic art pieces that represent emotional states, and carefully crafted spaces that tell stories about human nature and personal growth. The second unusual hobby that captures the INFJ imagination is sound walking and audio journaling. In a world where visual stimulation dominates, INFJ often find themselves drawn to the subtle art of collecting and documenting sounds. They'll spend hours walking through different environments, from busy city streets to quiet forest paths, recording the ambient sounds that most people never notice. What makes this hobby uniquely INFJ is how they weave these collected sounds into emotional narratives. They might combine the sound of rain falling on different surfaces with distant conversations and city noises to create what they call emotional soundscapes. These audio journals become rich tapestries of experience, capturing not just the sounds themselves, but the feelings and memories associated with particular moments in time. Perhaps one of the most intriguing INFJ hobbies is the creation of empathy gardens. Unlike traditional gardening, which focuses primarily on aesthetic appeal or food production, empathy gardens are designed to evoke specific emotional responses in visitors. INFJ carefully select plants, create pathways, and arrange elements in ways that guide people through different emotional experiences. They might include plants that change dramatically with the seasons to represent life's transitions, create winding paths that force visitors to slow down and reflect, or design spaces that gradually shift from chaos to order, symbolizing personal growth and transformation. What makes these gardens truly special is the incredible attention to psychological detail. Every element is chosen not just for its beauty, but for its emotional impact. The art of abstract memory quilting represents another fascinating way INFJ express their unique perspective on the world. While quilting itself is a common hobby, INFJ transform it into something extraordinary by creating abstract representations of emotional experiences, meaningful conversations, and significant life events. Each piece of fabric is carefully selected not just for its color or pattern, but for its emotional resonance. They might use dark, textured fabrics to represent challenging periods in their lives, or bright, flowing patterns to capture moments of joy and revelation. The finished quilts become both art pieces and emotional archives, with each stitch holding a story or meaning that goes far beyond simple decoration. One particularly unique hobby that captures the INFJ love of language and emotional depth is the creation of linguistic time capsules. INFJ often find themselves fascinated by words from different languages that capture complex emotional states or specific situations that English can't quite describe. They create elaborate journals filled with these words, accompanying them with personal stories, illustrations, and situations where they've encountered these feelings. For example, they might collect words like the Welsh hiraeth, a homesickness for a place you can't return to or that never was, or the Japanese mono no aware, the bittersweet awareness of life's impermanence. These linguistic collections become more than just word lists, they're carefully curated explorations of human emotional experience across cultures and time. Shadow photography represents yet another unique way INFJ express their perspective on the world. But rather than focusing on traditional shadow photography, they seek out what they call emotional shadows, moments where light and shadow interact to create images that represent human emotions or experiences. They might spend hours waiting for the perfect moment when shadows align to show concepts like loneliness, hope, or transformation. These photographers often create entire series focused on specific emotional themes, accompanying their images with deeply personal narratives about what each shadow formation represents to them. The concept of time keeps many INFJ awake at night, leading them to develop their own unique systems of conceptual timekeeping. Rather than relying solely on traditional calendars and clocks, they create elaborate personal systems for tracking time based on emotional and spiritual significance. These might take the form of journals where days are recorded not by dates but by the emotional weather, meaningful encounters, or personal growth milestones. Some INFJ create visual timelines that look more like art installations than traditional calendars, incorporating pressed flowers, photographs, and small objects that represent significant moments or realizations. The practice of emotional archaeology is another fascinating hobby that perfectly suits the INFJ natural inclination toward understanding human nature. They collect and preserve objects that hold strong emotional resonance not for their monetary or historical value, but for the feelings and stories they contain. This might include old letters between strangers, forgotten photographs, or discarded diary pages found in second-hand books. What makes this hobby uniquely INFJ is how they approach these items, creating detailed catalogues that explore not just the physical characteristics of each object, but the emotional stories they might tell. They often develop elaborate theories about the people who owned these items, creating emotional histories that bridge past and present. Dream mapping takes the common practice of dream journaling to an entirely new level. INFJ who engage in this hobby create intricate visual representations of their dreams, tracking patterns, symbols, and emotional themes across time. They might use different colors to represent various emotional states, create complex diagrams showing how different dream elements relate to their waking life, or even construct three-dimensional models of recurring dream landscapes. What makes this hobby particularly INFJ is how they integrate their natural pattern recognition abilities with their desire to understand the deeper meanings behind their experiences. The art of resonance writing represents another uniquely INFJ approach to creative expression. This isn't just about describing places or events, it's about capturing the invisible emotional currents that flow through different spaces and situations. INFJ who practice resonance writing might spend hours in various locations, attempting to document not just what they see but what they feel in these spaces. They believe that places hold emotional memories and energy, and their writing attempts to capture these invisible but powerful elements of human experience. The resulting works often blend poetry, prose, and emotional documentation in ways that other INFJ find deeply moving and relatable. The development of personal emotional color theories represents yet another fascinating INFJ hobby. While traditional color theory focuses on the visual relationships between colors, INFJ often create their own complex systems based on emotional and psychological associations. They might spend years developing detailed portfolios matching specific colors to emotional states, types of relationships, or stages of personal growth. These color theories often evolve into art projects or even influence their daily choices in clothing and home decor, with each color combination carefully chosen to create specific emotional effects. Symbolic gardening takes the concept of regular gardening and transforms it into a living representation of psychological and spiritual growth. Unlike empathy gardens, which are designed to evoke specific emotions in visitors, symbolic gardens are highly personal spaces where every plant and feature represents different aspects of the gardener's inner journey. INFJ might create sections representing different archetypes from Jungian psychology, plant things in patterns that reflect their personal growth journey, or design spaces that represent different aspects of their psyche. The maintenance of these gardens becomes a form of active meditation, with each gardening task carrying deeper symbolic meaning. Finally, we come to metaphysical scrapbooking, perhaps one of the most uniquely INFJ hobbies of all. Unlike traditional scrapbooking that focuses on preserving memories, Metaphysical scrapbooks explore abstract concepts and philosophical ideas through a combination of collage, writing, and found objects. Each page might represent a different philosophical question or spiritual concept, using images, quotes, and personal reflections to explore deep truths about existence and consciousness. INFJ often spend years working on these books, which become both personal growth tools and artistic expressions of their inner philosophical journey. What makes all these hobbies particularly fascinating is how they reflect the core characteristics of the INFJ personality type. Each one demonstrates their need to find deeper meaning in everyday experiences, their desire to understand and process emotions in unique ways, and their natural tendency to look beyond the surface of things to discover hidden meanings and patterns. These aren't just pastimes, they're expressions of the INFJ constant quest to understand themselves and the world around them in deeper, more meaningful ways. For INFJ, these unusual hobbies serve multiple purposes. They provide outlets for creative expression, tools for processing complex emotions and experiences, and ways to make sense of the world around them. They also offer opportunities for the kind of deep, meaningful engagement that INFJ crave, allowing them to explore their interests in ways that align with their natural tendencies toward introspection and pattern recognition. If you're an INFJ, you might recognize yourself in some of these hobbies, or perhaps they've inspired you to explore new ways of expressing your unique perspective on the world. And if you're not an INFJ, these hobbies offer fascinating insights into how this rare personality type experiences and interacts with the world around them. They remind us that there's no one right way to pursue our interests. What matters is finding activities that resonate with our authentic selves and help us grow as individuals. These 13 unusual hobbies are just a glimpse into the rich inner world of the INFJ personality type. They demonstrate how INFJ often take common activities and transform them into something extraordinary through their unique perspective and deep need for meaning. Whether they're creating miniature philosophical worlds or mapping the emotional resonance of spaces, INFJ bring a depth and complexity to their hobbies that reflects their fascinating personality type. Remember, what makes these hobbies truly special isn't just their uniqueness, but how perfectly they align with the INFJ natural tendencies and needs. They provide outlets for creativity, tools for processing complex emotions, and ways to make sense of the world that go far beyond simple entertainment or distraction. In the end, these unusual hobbies are more than just pastimes. They're expressions of the INFJ remarkable ability to find and create meaning in everything they do.